Hello everybody. Welcome one more Wednesday. This is Live Coding After Hours Flutter Edition. My name is Roman Jacques, Flutter GDE. This is Flutter Live Coding After Hours Flutter Edition, and in which I've been developing a casual game for the past 9 weeks. Can you believe this? It's been 2 months and 1 week, and you guys have stuck in there. Thank you, all of you guys who have been the usual suspects. Randall, you've been very supportive all on the way. Thank you so much. Serhan, you've been since the beginning. Thank you so much. Damien is always in the house, so thank you guys for joining one more Wednesday where I'm gonna be developing a casual game in Flutter from scratch. This is the 9th week. I've been making a lot of great progress. We've been touching again on building the application from scratch, from the first Flutter create, the name of the project, all the way until right now where we're going to be implementing some shared preferences. I'm going to be storing some values because I want to persist them for the within the application as the user is playing and whatnot. So yes, I'm going to just play a little bit with that. Just gonna do like a very simple implementation. Stick in there for the next 1 hour where I'm gonna be coding this game, and I'm gonna show you right now what the game is all about. So if this is your first time joining, this is your first time coming into this session, this is the application that we've been building for the past 9 weeks. It's a simple casual game called Skipping Frog, where a frog jumps from one end all the way to the other across the pond as fast as it can, collecting bugs along the way, collecting points. Make sure not to fall in the water, and that is the goal of this game. We're going to be implementing, again, like I said, Firebase authentication. We're going to be implementing Firebase Cloud Firestore to create the leaderboards. We've used explicit animations, state management using provider, custom widgets. We've used, again, assets, images, sounds, all of this. Today is the turn of shared preferences, and I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to implement it. Just wanted to say thank you very much, everybody, for sticking in there, for always joining these sessions. And I hope you can pick up a thing or two along the hour where I'm going to be developing. Thank you. Hey, Diern, I'm going to show you now. Yes, now. Hey, Diern, thank you so much, buddy. Look, I'm going to show you right there. Look. Isn't this what you were talking about? Like the category, software and game development? Is that the one? Is this the one right here? Like, I just wanted to know whether this is the one. I'm doing it right there. Look, it's right there. I just wanted to make sure that this is the correct one. Hey, Marco, how you doing, buddy? Your t-shirt, it's on the way, so make sure. Actually, let me show the screen now. That was the stuff that I was showing you, Diern. If you can see the screen, yeah. Oh, you can't see now. Now you can see the screen. So that was the place here where I was doing the category on the stream for tonight. I hope that's the correct one. Imad, how you doing, buddy? Long time no see, man. How's Flutterflow going? How's your application going? I hope you're making a lot of good progress on application. So kudos to you, man. Thank you so much for joining. Marco, yeah, like I said, your t-shirt is on the way. So I should actually send you the tracking number so that you can track on that. But if you tweet tonight, the hashtag Flutter Live Coding, you can get another t-shirt. Or for those of you who haven't won a Flutter t-shirt just as cool as this one, make sure to tweet your fingers away using the hashtag Flutter Live Coding. Take a look at the screen. That's the hashtag right there, Flutter Live Coding. And if you tweet for the next hour, you're going to be picked at the end on a raffle where I'm going to pick a lucky winner so that you can get a Flutter t-shirt at the end. So stick around, sit back, relax, enjoy, and let's do some coding. How's everybody doing? How my t-shirt? How many t-shirts left? No, t-shirts all the way until the end of these sessions, Damien. So I hope you're lucky enough to get one of those. So again, like I said, the wheel is not rigged against you, man. That's it. Great. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. Again, Marco, thank you so much for joining. Diern, always for your great tips. Thank you so much, buddy. But for some reason, yeah, I think I made the right option right there. But let's see how this goes tonight. But anyway, let's start because we have a lot to cover. Let me show you the design that I was playing with, which is exactly what I'm going to be tackling today. Remember, we're going to be doing shared preferences. We're going to do it very simple way. This is the thing that I'm trying to implement. Remember, guys, let me just do this one. Here we go. So can you see that? So this is the thing that I'm trying to implement. So I'm going to implement like share preferences, kind of like onboarding the user only when the user has not like let's say, for example, like they have not installed the application. I want to be able to show them like this screen right here. That's kind of weird out here. Like, he keeps showing that. I probably have to go and change the category of the whole channel, probably, because I did it there for the stream, and for some reason it comes out like that. But no, I mean, I should definitely be able to fix that, maybe at a global scale, pretty much. So yeah, so let's get back to this. So as you can see, this is what I'm trying to implement. So users should be able to see this when they install the application for the first time, and then when, let's say, they remove the application, they can see this again, but they can have the option of saying, never show this again. Like, I don't want them to see this, I don't want them to see the message anymore. Like, never show this again. Like, this is a message that this is what actually should store in their local storage, pretty much. The fact that they don't want to see the onboarding anymore. So this is what I'm gonna be trying to implement tonight. It's gonna be, we're gonna keep it really simple. We're just gonna implement the share preferences, make sure that we see this only when it's not installed, and then we can take it from there, and then make sure that the users actually persist that. So for those of you who don't know, share preferences is nothing more than a key value store for your applications. It actually gets persisted within the applications bundle. For example, the iOS, for example, like in Android, it's stored like as an XML file. For iOS, it gets stored as a plist file. For like Windows, it gets stored like in the app data. For web, it gets stored in your local storage. So share preferences is nothing more than a key value pair store. And I know that Damien was suggesting earlier, man, you don't get tired of Flutter? Because I saw you earlier at the Flutter in Flutter London, right? You were doing like applications, man. You're gonna get really far because you're very involved in Flutter. So yes, you were mentioning in one of your tweets whether we're gonna use like Hive or like any of those type of share preferences packages. I'm gonna show you, for example, the one that I've been looking. I've actually used Hive before. Actually, I can even show you in the App Store, for example, like I think I can show you the CX Shuttle application that I developed. Let me show you the application that I developed a while back. If I show you this one, the CX Shuttle, which is the application that I developed. Actually, let me look it up here in the App Store, and let me see if it comes up. But yeah, that's one of the applications that I developed. This is the one that I developed, the CX Shuttle. This one is actually using Hive because I definitely needed to store a lot of information for the users. This is an application that I developed internally for my company, also in Flutter for both platforms, and I was using Hive to store a lot of the user preferences. But there was a lot of information that I was using in there that I wanted to store, so that's why I went with Hive. For tonight's session, I'm gonna be using the simple shared preferences package because I was looking that Hive is pretty good, it's pretty fast. It definitely stores a lot of information and it's pretty very optimized. But for the needs of this application, let me see, I'll do share preferences. So the share preferences packages is very simple. I'm only going to be storing like a small pieces of information, just a couple of flags. For example, if the user doesn't want to see the onboarding screen anymore, I'm just gonna store like a boolean. And for example, like the position of the frog, if the person, for example, like swipes the application away into the background or something like that. So share preferences, actually, I think it will work for the needs of this application because it's gonna be really small. And remember that I am a very high proponent of not overdoing or not over engineering your application. If your application needs it, of course, definitely you should look into something more complex or maybe more something that definitely works for your application. But in my particular case, I want to keep it simple. I want to store just a few little values. Share preferences actually does the trick in this particular case. And I want to keep it simple, so that's exactly what I'm going for. Perfect. So is everybody ready? So I see the speed, but yes. Hive actually, if you look at the Hive package, Randall, for example, here, like the Hive and Flutter, they have like a couple of benchmarks. as far as like how fast it is compared to SQLite, or for example, like one of those providers. Let's say if you really want to store a lot of information, it's pretty it does support like a strong consistency, and it makes it like really like fast as far as like retrieving information and whatnot. So I'm going based on the packages and the information that they've put out there. And yeah, you could actually use for example something for that, like even it stores information asynchronously. They always suggest like not using like this type of applications for storing like really complex stuff or like really massive volumes of information. I would have used, for example, like SQLite for something like that. But me, in my particular case, I want to just store like a couple of flags, and then I want to be done with it. So that's pretty much the reasoning behind it. Exactly. So yeah, Hive, you could do that. You could use Hive totally, but I'm going to use like a much simpler approach, shared preferences. And you can see, of course, you can go ahead and implement like anything that works for your needs. I'm gonna just use a very simple shared preferences because again, it's just wrapping the platform specific implementation. Very simple, just something to store a few values. Again, remember, I am the type that I don't want to over engineer my applications, and that is the reason why I have dozens of apps out there, and none of them are blowing up, and they are working very well. So totally, again, you feel more than welcome to implement anything that works for your applications. In my particular case, I'm going to go really simple, and I'm going to use share preferences in this case. So let's start. And if you can see here, share preferences, like you can store like very simple values. You want to start, for example, like just an integer, a Boolean, a list, like primitive values pretty much. I don't think it allows you to store like a whole object, like let's say like a class. You have to, Hive does allow that, for example. But in my case, I'm only going to persist just a few small values. I could even do the trick and store like a JSON in there. That's something that you can do. But yes, definitely support everybody's choices and whatever you guys want to do in your application. So this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing share preferences. Very simple. I'm going to create a wrapper around it, and I'm going to consume like a few values. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Perfect. So let's start. So I'm going to move this, and I'm going to implement the share preferences, like I said. So I'm going to, let me move this also out of the way. And I hope you guys can still see the screen. That's perfect. So I'm going to just open up another, let me see, I think I can open up another tab. And then I'm going to say Flutter, pub, add, shared. I might type in it correctly. Shared preferences. So it's just this one right here. And because I saw it was pretty simple, you could just grab like something like this. I'm just going to start only like a Boolean and then just retrieving it right back. But you can, if you want to do more complex stuff, we could go with Hive. I like Hive because you can decorate the properties in your classes, and then it's very optimized for that type of situations. So yeah, let me just move this over one more time, and then let's go. So I'm going to do share preferences. Here we go. So I'm just going to add it, just import it. Simple as that. Oh, now there's another version of Flutter, so I have to upgrade again. Perfect. Okay, let's continue. Let's just see how far we can get. So one of the things that I wanted to do, again, like I mentioned, I want to like wrap my implementation. Just wanted to make sure that let's say in the case that I want to switch it to Hive, or I want to store like SQLite or some other type of key value store, I want to like kind of wrap the implementation and keep it really simple. Oh, triple for landing today. There you go. Yeah, thank you, Rhonda. That's a very good point. I mean, hey, come on. I'm not afraid. I'm going to do it. Like, I don't care. Look, see, it already says that 3.3, it's already said Flutter is available. Just do Flutter upgrade. And it has, okay, so let's just do it. Flutter upgrade. That's it. I don't care. What if it blows up? As you hang in there, guys, make sure to tweet Flutter live coding throughout the duration of the session, and you're gonna get into a raffle at the end of the session so that you can get a cool t-shirt just like this one. So stick around, make sure to tweet your fingers away. Flutter live coding is the hashtag. Thank you very much, guys. Says the Flutter daemon has terminated, blah blah blah. Okay, I'll just let it run. But yes, pretty much, I kind of like to do that. I'm that bold. I hope that, of course, the application is gonna continue working. It's not like I'm upgrading from Flutter 1 to Flutter 2, or it's like, or Flutter 3 right now. But yeah, this should be good. So yes, again, like I said, let me just mention it one more time. We're going to be implementing a very simple onboarding screen that should like pop up or like slide from the bottom. Only when your user installs it for the first time, they will see it. But after they say never show this again, we're going to persist a flag that then will prevent it from showing again. So that's exactly what we're going to be tackling today. Something simple. Let me show you. Yeah, exactly. And I love these minor fixes. They actually go a long way. That's a very good point, Randall. So it's always good. I always like to keep it refreshed. I just didn't want to do it in front of a live audience, but hey, we did it and then it's done. Let's continue. So let me show you where we left it last time. I implemented a couple of things that I just wanted to show you. Look at this new implementation that I added at the bottom. Remember, we need to add the capabilities to pause the game, to exit the game at any point. And I added this cool thing. I just came up with it. And then I added it. This is just a tracker so that you know how far along in the whole, in your whole journey you are. For example, look, when you swipe, you know how far you are. Every time I swipe, you see this indicator. I just made it like real quick. And I'm like, okay, so I think I already have the information. I already have how many rows I'm going to jump. I know how far it is. And I know I'm just going to use like a value between, let's say, using a layout builder actually to capture the value of the width that has been provided by that widget, so I know how wide it is, and then I can just extrapolate the values that are there, so I know how wide I can make the container. And check this out, I can continue, and I know that I'm halfway through it, and then I can just go, continue, and then look, at the end, I'm only like one more right there, and then I just go and done. You see? Very cool. Then the next session, remember, we're going to be preparing the application. We're going to be doing Firebase Cloud Firestore. We're going to submit the score and all of that. You see that we get the score, we get the time, and all of that. So this is how far I brought it. But now today we're going to be implementing the share preferences. So that was pretty cool. It was very simple to implement. Again, we already had the data, so I just wanted to take advantage of some of the stuff that I wanted to do. So let's continue. Let me start by, as always, as you know, I like to create my application using like clean patterns and making sure that I do the proper separation of concerns, wrap my implementations into services, or you can call it view models, and I'm just gonna create one additional provider that is gonna wrap that implementation. So yes, you're saying that for breaking changes. Yes, that's correct, Damien. And I like the application that you're building in the Flutter London. That code camp is pretty cool. So keep up the good work, man. So let's continue. So I'm going to just, as you know, I'm gonna create like a services class, something. I'm gonna call it like game. I could call it like game local storage. Again, remember, I suck at naming. See, I even misnamed this thing. So again, this is the beauty of live coding. So there we go. So I'm just going to call it like game local storage. It's just going to be a class. I'm just going to make it as a simple provider. I don't want to trigger any changes from here, rebuild any widgets or anything like that. I'm just going to call it just like that. I'll say game local storage. And then game local storage, all that we're going to do is we're going to wrap the implementation of the share preferences. Like you could have done the same thing, Damien, for example, when you mentioned Hive. You could have just wrapped the Hive implementation around this and it would have been just the same way. So I'm just going to keep it really simple and let's just going to do that. So let me do that. So I'm just going to do, as always, I want to get just one instance of the share preferences. So I want to kind of like wrap that into one implementation. So I want to have like I'm going to create like let me just move this over. So I'm going to say shared preferences. So I'm going to create like my prefs, right? Like an instance of the share preferences that I'm going to then extract the values and whatnot. So the same thing that I do with other services, like either I do create like an init method where I initialize, for example, like the things that I need in this package. In this particular case, I'm just gonna call it like init. I could have done it in the constructor, but I want to trigger like that initialization because I'm gonna pass other values into it. So I kind of follow this pattern. So I'm gonna call it like init, and then in this init, I'm just going to instantiate or get the instance of the share preferences available in this application. So I'm just going to say simple, very simple. I'm just going to keep it really straightforward. I'm just going to instantiate it. There are many ways that you can do it. Remember we were talking about last time whether when you create like async and await, Randall was providing really great points about that. And yes, all I wanted to do that back in the previous episode was just to introduce you to async and await, how you can use async and await, how you can then, as an alternative, you can just do like .then, because it's kind of like syntactic sugar around like an object that represents an operation to be executed in the future. So in this particular case, if I do, for example, like async, right here, like I decorate my method in async, you can then grab the information from the shared preferences in an asynchronous fashion. But like we mentioned last session, you have to then implement the await in the method that calls this. So if you don't do this. But if you are going to actually implement this in an asynchronous fashion, you need to call this method also around an async and await. Otherwise, then it doesn't make any point in doing it. So for example, you could have done, for example, like you could say await shared preferences, and then shared preferences has a specific method called getInstance. And then if you see, this actually returns a shared preferences instance. So you could just say pref equals await.getInstance, something like this. Then you retrieve that instance of the shared preferences, then you can do anything with it. In my particular case, I don't care about async and await. I'm just gonna call it, but instead of using async and await, remember, there are other ways on how to do it. You could do it just like this without even assigning it. You can do this. You can say getInstance .then. This is another way to do it. Again, remember, I'm always giving you alternatives on how you can do things. So I showed you one way that you can do it using the async and await keyword, but this is another way that you can do this. For example, you can just wait until you can receive the value back and just capture it and just assign it. So I could do pref value. Simple as that. Just by doing this, you're actually capturing the reference of the shared preferences. Remember, when you're in iOS, you're going to get a reference so that you can start writing to disk or, to the shared preferences, to that plist file in iOS, and then on Android on that XML file. So after I do that, then all I need to do, I can just start immediately consuming the values I can store values in the preferences. I can pull values out of the preferences, but I still want to continue wrapping around the preferences instance. So I know for sure, I'm gonna need a method to like save the data. So I'm gonna say void save data, for example. I know I'm gonna have a method that I'm gonna say like save data and stuff like that. I want to also, for example, let's say in this particular case, if I want to immediately start saving data, I can just say pref dot. And remember, we have the multiple methods that you can implement in your preference instance. You can store like a Boolean. You can get a Boolean, so you can just set. Set is for setting the value. Get is for retrieving the value out of your key value store, right? So that is exactly what I'm going to be doing when I do like save data. I'm going to persist, for example, like the score. Whenever, let's say the user swipes it away and they don't want to lose their score. I'm just going to save it temporarily until they send it to Firebase, for example. But I'm going to create one value, for example, in here, just so that I can persist whether I want to store the onboarding information. For example, I want to create a method that I'm going to call, for example, never show. Remember the button? Hold on. I don't want to update my Figma. So let me just install on next launch. Perfect. So I just want to show you my Figma design. And this is the button that will trigger the persistence of that flag, where I'm going to say, I don't want to show the onboarding again. When I click on that button, I am going to persist just the Boolean that just says, don't show me this thing again because I don't want to see it. Like, I already know how to play the game. Don't show me the onboarding. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to call it just exactly that. I'm going to call it never show onboarding again. Like that. Simple as that. And all I'm going to do in this method, is just store a value, just a Boolean. So I'm going to say pref dot set bool. Then whenever you store a value in the preferences of your application, you have to provide a key, and then you provide the value. That is exactly how you fetch it out of the preferences as well, using that same key. Some people use, for example, like constants to provide the keys, because I don't want to like botch up the name or make sure that I type it incorrectly. So I kind of like to wrap that implementation, and I can do, for example, something like this. I can create, for example, like up here, I can create like a constant. I can do like static const string, and then I call it onboarding, and then I do a value called like onboarding. So something like this, because I don't want to butch up the name, and I want to have like type. I want to provide like a type to my values, to the key, so I don't mess them up and I don't mistype them. So in this particular case, I'm just gonna say, in this case, game local storage dot onboarding. So I'm gonna say store a value in the preferences with the key onboarding, and the value, for example, in this case, will be false. So every time I just say never show onboarding again, is going to be saved as a Boolean flag with the value false. We're going to debug later and you're going to see it. Of course, now we need to find a way to retrieve it out of the preferences. So how am I going to pull that value out? I don't want my application to know that there's shared preferences. That's why I created this service, this wrapper around my implementation. So I'm just going to create another method that just will return a Boolean. Instead of me saying like, prev get bool, prev get bool game storage dot onboarding, and whether it is true or not. You don't want to do this. Like I was mentioning, you should be able to wrap your implementation, hide this is how you do like very good encapsulation of your logic. You don't want to do that. So I'm going to create a method called is onboarding set. All this value is going to do, it's just going to retrieve the onboarding flag for me and just going to check the value. So there are things that, how you can, for example, like, look, you can just set it normally and then you can like await for it, but I don't need to await it. The same thing when you pull it right back out. Like when you pull it back out, you either pull the value or you pull like a null. And if you do, for example, like in this particular case, I'm just going to say return prev dot get bool, and I just grab my key. The key is going to be called bool, just that one. But you see why it's failing? Why is it failing? Let me show you why. Because it is a nullable. So it says like, okay, you need to return a nullable out of this. You can either do this, let's say if you just want to return a nullable, but for the first time, it's going to be null. I don't want to be dealing with checking whether it's null outside of this application. I just want to know whether am I set or not? Did I set this value, yes or no? So the way that I would do it is just saying, I could do the evaluation right here. So I'm encapsulating that evaluation. I can just say, for example, if the value, I can say if the onboarding value in the shared preferences is not null, meaning it is there, for example, like it has been set. And I can say, and something like, and then I can say, and prev dot get bool. I can say, and if the value is not false, I can say, for in this particular case, I can just say something like this, because not null is not enough, because it could be true or it could be false. In this particular case, I just want to say, is it not set? I'm just flipping the value, flipping the logic. So I'm saying, is it null? Is it not set? Because I can just say, am I onboarding? I don't want to check if I'm onboarding. First, I want to check, are you not onboarded? Let me show you the message. So that's exactly what I want to say here. I want to say, show me, are you not onboarded? So I can show you the message. So we're gonna show this message the first time when you install the application. Are you onboarded? Oh, let me show you how to onboard you. Let me show you how to play this game. Oh, never show me this game again. Okay, I'm not gonna show it to you. When we click on that button, we're gonna wire it to this method called never show onboarding again. We set it to false, and then never again. We're going to be checking for the is onboarding set. When I pull it back out, I will see that it's false. And then I'll say, okay, this guy doesn't want me to show the onboarding again, so let's respect it. Now, if you delete the application, what's going to happen with that value? It's going to be gone because it was part of the bundle. It's part of the application itself. Remember, it's not stored in the phone's hard disk. It's not stored outside of the application. It's within the application's bundle. For Android, it's stored as an XML, and for iOS, it's stored as a plist file inside of the application. So when you delete it and you install it again, you're gonna get the onboarding again. Of course, because that's the local storage of the application. Great. Google, yes. Dyer, you've asked about the flame a couple of times. I'm gonna send you that link. I'm gonna send you that. I actually have a couple of books that I can definitely recommend. I'll definitely send that to you, my man. I promise. I promise. So let's continue. So now that I know how to store the value in the share preferences, how to pull it out of the share preferences. So now let's start consuming this, this simple service that I created called Game Local Storage. So perfect. So let's just add it, of course, along with my other services. It's just going to be a simple provided service. I'm just going to use one of the existing ones up here, and I'm just going to call it Game Local Storage. So I'm already providing the service. I should be able to consume it somewhere. So now I have to say just, okay, let's initialize this service. Let's start using it. Let's show the user whether they are onboarded or not, so that we can show that component. So now that I've provided the service, let me find the best spot where I can do it. You remember in the previous episodes where I'm using the game service to kind of like using it as a proxy for all of the other services, kind of like the broker between all the other services. There are, again, other approaches on how to do it, but I've kept it really simple and I've just done it like that. So let's just create, for example, like in the game service, I'm going to create like a simple instance of the Game Local Storage, and then I'm going to just initialize it right there. It should be something like really straightforward. I shouldn't be doing like really much. So let me go to the game service. I used to have like stuff like this, so let me just remove some of this stuff. So I'm going to use one of those, my newly created service. I'm going to say Game Local Storage. I'm going to call it Game Local Storage. And I'm going to initialize it along with the other services. So I'm going to just copy one of these guys and say Game Local Storage. So my game service kind of like takes care of initializing that. And all I'm going to do is just remember in my Game Local Storage, I have a method called init. The init is the one that initializes the shared preferences and pulls it out, and then has an in-memory reference of it pretty much. And then you can start like doing stuff on it. So I'm just going to call right away when I do my initialize of the services. I'm just going to say game local storage.init. So now that I've initialized the services, now I'm ready to use it. So I'm there, I'm all good, perfect. So I'm just going to, like, as soon as the game starts, initialize the game local storage. I retrieve the share preferences, and I should be able to, start interacting with the preferences right away. Oh, you thought that I didn't read that? Hey, come on, man. Now you thought I was not reading? Of course I was reading, man. I will get you that book. If I have to buy it for you, I'll get it for you, man. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. So let's continue. So now that I've initialized the game local storage, I've already initialized it. Now I'm ready to use it. I want to find like the best spot where I can just do that. So one of the things that, of course, the best place to do it is, remember, when I do start and I'm in the game page, that is where I'm going to be displaying that onboarding. So I need to have it right here. So you see, like, this is the game page. So I'm going to display the game page right there. Barrel files to export and import. Jessica, you say, why don't you use barrel files to export and import? Okay. I thought you were, are you asking me that question, Jessica? If I use barrel files for export and import, you could do, again, I try to just import it like that. Just try to keep it simple. But yes, you could go either way. I like to make sure to, like, I know where my things are coming from, but that's a good suggestion. I would definitely go with those type of, with that approach. So let me just, again, get back to this. I'm showing you here, for example, how I'm going to display the onboarding screen in this application. So let's do just that. So I'm going to, so I'm going to go to that particular page, which is the game page. Got it. Okay, so I think I have some services that I'm not using here. So let me just remove some of the unused imports. So let me just, okay, so what would be like the best place where I can do that? So I can do it right here. like here, right here, because I'm going to show it either as a separate component, like I can use this as a separate component, but I could actually, now that I'm thinking, I can show it as a modal, as a modal sheet, like coming from the bottom, like just displaying from the bottom. I can definitely do that. So I'm gonna implement it just like a modal bottom sheet, something like that. Perfect. So instead of me creating a component and triggering it, I'm just going to create a show modal bottom sheet. I'm just gonna display it right there. I'm gonna keep it really simple. So let's start it. So right up here, actually, I definitely want to start the game and whatnot. And then, for example, here, remember, you can say, or you cannot say, because this is a trick that I'm gonna give you right here. You can say show modal bottom sheet, and then you know that you have the context, and you can have a builder. A builder takes a context, as you know, and then you can just return, for example, like a widget in here, right? So this is the build context right there. I can just close the modal sheet. Sorry about that. I close that, I close this, and there it is. So check this out. Why I cannot do this? Does anybody know why I cannot do this? Why? If anybody doesn't know, of course, Randall, I know you know. Maybe Damien, you might know. So why I cannot just say show modal bottom sheet right in the build method? Why? Because the application is still building. This page is still building. It's within the build method. If you do the show modal bottom sheet, there's gonna be an issue, like kind of like a race condition, like which one gets built first. You will see that show modal bottom sheet because the build method is executing and it hasn't finished. You cannot interject the build method and kind of like interrupting while it's doing the build. Otherwise, you're gonna get this issue. Check it out. Look. If I say return container, for example, check this out. Like these are for some people who want to say, I want to show the modal bottom sheet like right away as soon as you show the application. This is what happens. Check it out. I'm going to run the application. I think I have it running right here. Let me just reload it. Yeah. So there it is. I get the loading. And then if you click this, it blows up. Why does it say, look what it says up there. It says set state or mark needs build called during build. That is because the overlay widget cannot be marked as needing to build because of the framework is already in the process of building widgets. The error tells you right away. So there are 3 ways that you can do it. You see, this is what I'm here for. I'm not here to just say, oh, let's just do it like this. No, I'm going to give you 3 ways you can do it. Yeah, exactly. You can definitely, yes, the draggable, scrollable sheet, you could definitely get into those nasty errors if you don't implement it correctly. One way that you can do it. I'm going to show you. You can just, the show modal bottom sheet, you can trick the system into knowing that it's not building. You can just immediately after the build method, you can post a frame, and in that frame, post frame callback, you can then execute the modal bottom sheet. So you're tricking Flutter to say interject the execution of the modal bottom sheet right after you finish the build method. So the way that you do it is you could do this. You could say widgets binding. There's a widgets binding, and then you can say instance dot, and you can say add post frame callback, and then here you add the callback, and then you can execute it like this. What is this doing? Look, I can just hover right over. Look what it says. Schedules a callback for the end of this frame, meaning I'm going to rebuild my application in one frame, like I'm implementing, let's say, if this is a stateless widget, I'm just rendering my application, and then I'm interjecting myself as a post frame callback. Just saying, after you're done, can you schedule my my modal bottom sheet to execute? So let's do it now. So that's one way to do it. I'm going to rebuild the application, and then you should be able to see it. Right after the build, exactly. Right? It's right after the build. So this is like for those of you who, and there it is. You see? That's it. So that's one way to do it, and it immediately happens. That's one way to do it. The second way to do it that I'm going to implement here is because I want people to see the game page for just 1 second. I want them to see like for a fraction of a second. How do you do it? How if you cannot do it here? Okay, you can either implement like a timer, you can still do it like this and implement a timer, but the second approach that you can do is just this. Very simple. You can say future, you can use a future dot delayed. So in this particular case, what you're gonna do, you're gonna defer the execution of the show modal bottom sheet for just a few seconds later after the build. And because a future returns after a period of time, the future.delayed returns after a period of time. Look at this. I'm gonna say const duration. Just gonna do something simple. I'm gonna say milliseconds, like 200. I provide a callback to my delayed method, and then I show my modal bottom sheet. So 2 ways on how to do it. I can show you a 3rd way using a timer. I can use a 4th way. I can show you a scheduled callback. You can do so many ways, but I am here to provide you with alternatives. Me, I go with a simple one. I'm just gonna say, just wait for 200 milliseconds, then show the modal bottom sheet. Simple as that. Yes, in Jessica, that is correct. Craig, my buddy Craig, great Flutter DevRel. He explains this definitely. So yes, just gonna show that. Now you're gonna see that after doing this, it's gonna wait like 200 milliseconds, and then it's gonna show the modal bottom sheet. There it is. And there it is. It just waits for a little bit, and then he shows it. Perfect. Now I don't want to just show this. I want to show it only if I have a flag that says, "Are you not set?" No. Okay, so let me show you. Let me show you this let's say this modal. So this is exactly what I'm gonna do. Check this out. I'm gonna actually. So I have the service. Let me see. I have the service called game local storage, and all I have to say is onboarding set, right? So I'm just gonna check for, are you set? Is the onboarding set? So let's pull it. Perfect. So let's do it like that. But because I already have the game service in here, I already have the game service, and remember, my game service is injecting, the game local storage service, so I can use this as a proxy. So I'm gonna actually create a wrapper, another level of abstraction around the game service, so I don't have to import yet another service in here. So what I truly want to do is this. I want to say if game service, and then I'm going to use the same method that I used in the other one, is first install. Is that what I called it here? Is first I'm just going to call it is onboarding set. Exactly. It's an onboarding set, but I want to actually call it here, for example, like is first time installing, something like this, like is first install, like I want to check, is this the first time that you're installing the application? Check. And then what I'm checking inside is whether that flag is set or not. I can actually add other checks in there or something like that. So I'm just gonna then create that method inside of that if statement, right? And then I'm just gonna say, okay, if this is your first time, is this the first time? Yeah, okay, so go ahead and show me that modal. Otherwise, don't show it. So I'm just gonna create a method. You see, I'm just gonna create this method. And of course, see, it even returns like a Boolean because I put it inside an if condition. Then it just automatically created like that. And because I'm gonna call this method is first time install, remember, I am injecting the game local storage service. So let's just reuse exactly the same thing that we have already in there. So my game local storage has a method called like what is it that we're calling it? So I'll say game local storage that is onboarding set. So if it's not, then is it onboarding set? Like that's pretty much what I want to say. Like, is it onboarding set? Is it the first install? Like I truly want to check whether that is. But I'm saying is if you're not set at all, it is a first install. So you see, are you not set? It is a first install. So let's check it. What this is gonna do is, remember, is gonna check, is it not null? Or is it false? Like, no, because you already set it. I don't want to show this value in here. So I'm going to go back to my game page, and I already created a wrapper for that implementation. So I'm saying, if game service is first installed, then show it. If not, then I'm going to, for example, like in here, let's create like a button, like a temporary button. So I'm just going to say child text a button. Let's use like a text button, something simple. And I'm going to say child, and then I'm going to say text, never show this again. Something like this, right? And of course, you know that a text button needs an onPressed. I'm just going to keep it simple, right? Really keep it simple. Then I'm going to say, if it's a first install, show it. But if I tap on that button, I want to do game service dot never what did I call this method? Never show onboarding again. Simple as that. I'm gonna create like another proxy method for this one. That way I don't have to like, inject another service in here. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna create a method, like a wrapper method around my implementation. And I'm just gonna say game local storage, never show onboarding again. What does this method do? Sets it to false. That's exactly what's gonna do. It's gonna keep it really simple. Oh yes, Damien. You see, you can think of many ways on how to do like the same thing, pretty much. But I wanted to keep a delay just because I wanted you guys to see how I did it. So let's do this. So I'm gonna save it. You see, when I click on that button, it's gonna say never show onboarding again, right? The game page. But you're gonna see a container with a button in the middle. Actually, let me just. I can actually make this into a. Okay, I can do container, but I'll do alignment dot center. Something like that. Or I can wrap this into a center. For example, I could do this, something like that. But let's see what this does. So let me save it all. Let me reload the whole application. Now you should be able to see that if it's not set, pretty much, right? If I click start, okay, late initialization, the preference hasn't been initialized. You see that? That is some of the things that you actually get then if you don't, let's say if you don't initialize it appropriately. In my particular case, I kind of like did it in a very eager fashion. So I want to make sure that, let's say I want to, let's say initialize it much better. So in my, right here, I have the share preferences. The init method is there. I definitely is either trying to like retrieve the application, retrieve the share preferences before I'm using it. So you're going to have to be very cautious. Is anybody... Setting it to false will mean show the onboarding again. That might be backwards. Actually, I can definitely test that, but we should be able to see that. So let me take care of this issue right here. So when I do the init, I do get instance dot then value and then do that. So if I do this, yeah, it's still not properly initialized. So my game local storage, I have that, and then in the game service, when I initialize it, I can probably do it. Let's say more. In a more optimized way. So in the game service, I have the, let me see where I'm doing it. I think I was doing it like down here. So I could probably even do it like much earlier than I was expecting. Because I want to do, for example, like I want to be able to immediately when the application loads, I don't need it at the beginning. That's why I wanted to do it like, for example, like not at this particular moment, like in the game page. Maybe I wanted to do it a little bit earlier, but maybe it's too early where I'm doing it. You see, so I want to make sure that wherever I do it the let's say the most appropriate way. That way I can just like use it when I need it. So for example, in the game service, I can say I need to make sure to initialize it maybe a little bit earlier, right? Yeah, I can try it in the constructor. Definitely, I can try it in the constructor. Perfect. So I can do game local storage, of course. And then I can just do it. Instead of doing the init, I can use the init for other things. That's a very good point. So I can just do it right here in the constructor. And then when the provider initializes it at the top, of course, I can definitely do that. So let's try it one more time. Let me just rebuild the whole thing. So let's try it. If I hit start, still building. I know what the problem is. I am trying to pull share preferences when I did not rebuild the whole application because I needed to have that package. So I'm going to do it again like this, and I'm going to just kill the application. So I'm going to kill it. And then I'm going to just blow the application. Let me even delete it. That way there's nothing on that application, right? Let's just delete it completely. Let me start again, Flutter run. And like I was saying again, never show onboarding again, should set it to false. But then when I pull it, what I'm saying is if it's not set, then I want to say show the message. That's why it may look like backwards. I can flip the values, but remember, I'm just doing this like right now just to see how at least I want to get something showing. But definitely, of course, you could just see the value and immediately, just flip it, and then that should be able to work. So let's try it one more time with the application already installing the way that we had it before. We can bring it back to the constructor if we need to, but you need to find the proper way to initialize it. Perfect. So let's try it again. I hit start, and there it is. See, that was the problem, Damien. I installed the package, but I did not reload the application appropriately. I needed to make sure that the application had access to the share preferences and then was able to pull it. So it's just keeping it in the init method was the right way at that moment, because I'm not doing it like too eagerly. I'm doing it at the proper place where I'm initializing the game. So perfect. So let's get back to the application. So Randall, back to your point. So for example, when I do never show this again, for example, right here, I'm here. If I swipe away this application, the page, and I click start, it shows because it's not set. Now, when I click on never show this again, and actually I can debug it instead. I can, let's do it. Let's just do it. So I'm going to click never show this again. I'm assuming that when I click it, I am going to save it and it will never show again. So if I hit this, that's it. See, I should maybe hide it. Maybe I should do it like this, because I want to hide the whole thing. And remember, show modal bottom sheet actually works just like any other page. You can just dismiss it out of the navigation stack. One way to do that is making sure that it's part of the root stack. You can say this, use root navigator true. Now you can say something like utils, let me import main nav current state dot pop. Just by doing this, I'm just gonna pop it out of view. So let me save it again, reload the application. Now when I hit this, it should be able to pop it, but let's try it again. Let me reload the whole thing, because I should be able to just pop it out of the way. So let's try that. So I'm gonna go start, and you see it doesn't show anymore. Why? Because it pulled the value, and then because it was not the first time installed, it was true. Is it the first time? No, it's not. If it's the first time to install, then you show it. Let's debug it. Let's just debug it right now. So actually, by the way, I want to, and then the only way that you can do it is completely blowing the application out of the way, deleting it, and then you're going to get that value. Why? Because that value is part of the application package. It's part of the bundle. It's part of the application bundle. If I hit again Flutter run, which installs the application again, stores the value inside of the application's bundle. For iOS, remember, stores it as a plist file. For the Android, it stores it as an XML file, and then you can just pull that value. We're gonna debug it, and then we're gonna see that value right there. So let's start. Again, guys, don't forget, tweet Flutter live coding at the end of this session. I am going to raffle a Flutter t-shirt. So just make sure that you do that. So I'm gonna hit start one more time. There it is. And if I clicked on press and then I said pop. There it is. I popped it out of the way. I stored the application. I stored the value. If I dismiss this and bring it right back, it doesn't come back anymore. Why? Because I persisted that value. Now let's debug it. So now I'm gonna blow the application one more time, remove it completely, remove it. Now I'm going to run it in debug mode, and then we're going to debug those values. Perfect. So again, make sure to tweet Flutter live coding at the end of this session. I'm going to raffle a Flutter t-shirt. Come on, guys. Tweet your fingers away. I wasn't going to say anything else. Tweet your fingers away. Flutter live coding. Flutter live coding. Tweet it with that hashtag. And then you're gonna get into the raffle of a Flutter t-shirt just like this one, so that you can brag with your friends about Flutter, that you attended this session, and that you learned a thing or two about share preferences. We're trying to keep it really simple. I'm gonna go a little bit further than 1 hour, just so that I can complete a little bit of the widget that I'm gonna build, so that you guys can see it come to fruition. So let's let me try it again. Okay, I think it's just still coming up. So let's just wait a minute or two while you guys are seeing that. Anybody has any questions in there? Damien, I hope you're lucky today, but I see other people in the house. I see new folks. Jessica, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for providing input. Randall, as always, you always, again, with great comments, great advice for the folks in here. I invite you guys to follow Randall also in YouTube, where he has great sessions. Again, things never seen out there, not your common, what's better than this state provider or this other state provider? Not the same stuff. Randall provides like really great comments, great, great videos, great suggestions, amazing deep dives into Flutter. So I definitely suggest you visit his Twitter, his YouTube channel. So Yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you, David. Yeah, exactly. So again, for those of you, again, thank you always for joining. So let's. Oh, I lost the connection to the device. That's okay. I'm gonna run it one more time, just normally, and then I'm gonna hit the debug. So I'm gonna stop it right here. Let's just rebuild one more time, and then I'm gonna do it in debug mode. That way we can see the values coming through. But you see, I'm gonna run it once, and then you're gonna see that. No, my pleasure, Randall. Come on. That's what we got to keep supporting each other. You guys make me better. I learned from you guys. The same thing I pay it forward. And again, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm in a big conflict because I'm a fan of another GDE. I'm a really big fan of another GDE. So that's me right there. Perfect. So let's debug it right now. Let's run it in debug mode, and then let's follow that sequence, right? So I'm going to go to the check for the value, the is-time install. So I'm gonna go exactly where that value is right here as soon as it comes out of the preferences. So the first time that it comes, when I go to the start, there it is. Actually, we have to wait until the debugging occurs, and then once it jumps into the debugging session, then we should be able to see it. I mean, this machine is good enough to go into debugging, so I don't know why it's taking so long this time. But anyway, as that happens, let me start building a little bit of the UI. So while that happens, let me just go back to my game page. I'm going to go to the game page. I'm going to continue building up on this container. So what I want to do is I don't want like that hideous white button right there, like a white container. So I want to do, for example, like I want to do color, and I want to do, what do I want to do? Colors.black, because I want it to look like this. So I want it like a little bit like opaque, right? I want it to look a little semi-visible, right? So that's exactly what I want to do. I want to keep it like really, kind of visible. So let's do like some opacity, right? So let's do exactly just that. So I'm going to do black with an opacity of like 0.5, something like that. Let's try it. I'll reload it. Because I'm reloading every time, you're going to see it multiple times. Let me just reload it one more time. Finally learned how to make an onboarding for an app. Yes, Dyer. It's really simple, man. I'm telling you. Like, oh, you got to download an onboarding package. You don't have to download an onboarding package. You can do your own onboarding. There it is. I'm going to continue building up on this thing. So I'm going to create, I'm going to have to say, you see that white background that is coming out? It's because you need to say transparency also on the sheet itself. Like on the bottom sheet, you want to do that on the sheet itself. So you want to say like the background color of the modal bottom sheet. You have to say, then I could actually even copy. Actually, I don't need this in here. I can just move it up here, and instead I'll say background color. There you go. Now let me try it again. That's what I want. So I want that. Let me reload it one more time. That way you can see it. So let's try that. If I do this, you see, it shows, and then it shows right on top. But I don't want it to show halfway through the application. I want it to fill up the whole screen. The way that you do it is not just by coming over here and adding like a height, media query dot of context dot size dot height. No, this is not how you do it. This is not how you do it. So I'm gonna reload it. You could do any height in there, and that's not gonna work. If you do this, it's not gonna work. Look, I said the container, take the whole height of the screen. It's not gonna work. Why it's not gonna work? Because the little flag right here that is like so obscure that it doesn't even mean what it is. It's called is scrolled controlled. And all you have to say is true, and check it out now. Now it fills out the whole screen. I don't need this at all. Now let me rebuild it one more time. So now I'm just gonna say, okay, so when I come up, I'm just gonna show it right away. So check it out. When I hit it, it just fills up the whole screen as a modal. It doesn't let me interact with the application. Like I don't want it to interact with the application underneath it. I can dismiss it by swiping down. Really? You see? I can do that. I can still click on this guy, but I don't want to save the value in the application, and for some reason, again, like it couldn't jump into the debugging session anymore. Again, we can continue. So that's what I want. Now I want to continue building on this guy. So I want like 2 buttons. And you see this little 3 buttons right here. That is because I'm going to implement a page view. So a page view is going to implement that piece right there. So let's start. So what do I need for this I'm gonna get rid of this like container, like this button. I don't need this. So what I actually need instead is I'm gonna need, remember, if you look at this design, what does it look like to you? It looks like a column. So that's exactly what we're gonna be implementing right now. So I'm gonna be implementing it as a column. Hey Cirilo, how you doing, buddy? Late but surely. What is it? The late but sure. Yeah, that's okay, man. Thank you so much for joining, Cirilo. An amazing Android developer in the house, guys. Thank you so much for joining. So that's exactly what I'm gonna be building. I'm gonna be building that column that represents like that onboarding right there. I can do it with transform. Of course I'm gonna do it with transform, Damien. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I can do it like that, but I'm gonna use like a page view or something like that. But yes, I can do anything. Perfect. I'm gonna use I'll use like a column, and I'm gonna add like a bunch of children. I'm gonna add like let's do like a text, right? And then I'm gonna copy the text that says here, swipe in the direction of the leaf in turn, so the frog. So the frog jumps to it. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna grab that text. I'm gonna just paste it right in here, without, of course, all of these spaces. So check this out. I can use positioning, but I don't like the positioning. I kind of like the application to flow on its own. So to this text, I'm just gonna say, let's make it white. So I'm gonna say. Text style, as always, I'm gonna say text style, colors are white. Let's take a look at it. And I know you're gonna be annoyed. There it is. It's right over there. It's right all the way up top. Maybe we can increase a little bit on the font size. I'm gonna say font size at 30. It's a little bigger now, but I want to center them vertically on that. We can do anything that any package does. Is that something many are fast or lazy? Yes, that is. You can frame what you said right now and put it on the wall. You're either lazy or you're at crunch time, but always try not to make your application more bloated than it is. Of course, you can find a package for anything and you can just use it right away. But me, I like to tinker, I like to play, I like to see how things work. And I always like to take a crack first at things. So let me just do to the column, I'm gonna say main axis alignment center, and cross-axis alignment center, because I want it centered on all axes. That's pretty much what I want. I want some padding around it. I don't like it just like that. So I want to do like some padding around it. I can do wrap with padding. There it is. Let's do, how much padding? I can do like, I'll do 10 pixels. Let me see. So if I do something like that, still too little. I kind of want to add more padding. I want to add like way more padding. So I want to do like 50. Let's try something like this. I know that, again, it's going to be building and rebuilding this application. You're going to see them like all yeah, exactly. For this example, yeah, you don't need a package because it's pretty straightforward. Where am I? Am I there? I'm here. Let me reload it again. I think it's because, okay, let me kill this. Sorry about that, guys. I try to do the debugging, but debugging, for some reason, I am doing like a bunch of things at the same time and it's just not budging for me. But yeah, let's try it again. So I'm gonna use swipe in the direction of the next. I'm gonna do an alignment on that. I want to make sure that the text aligned center, and of course it's gonna be hard coded. So I'm just gonna make it into a constant. Actually, not this one. I can just do it at this level. There we go. Oh, there's a team missing, really? Swipe in the direction of the next leaf in turn, so the frog jumps to it. Why am I missing? Oh, sorry. Just click this and let me. I think that's what it was. That's what it was. I was not looking. The camera is blocking my way. Thank you, David, for that. Look, the camera is blocking, so I cannot see very well. So that's why I created the art. Thank you, guys. You see, that's why I need you guys. That's why I need you. In a couple more minutes, we're gonna wrap this up and we're gonna raffle the T-shirt. Flutter Live Coding. Flutter Live Coding is the hashtag. Go ahead and tweet your fingers away. In a few more minutes, I'm gonna wrap this up and I'm gonna do it. So make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding so that you can get into the raffle. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna continue. I'm just gonna finalize, at least structure the items that I want to do. For example, there it is. Swipe in the direction of the next leaf, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. Now what I want to do is I want to add, for example, like some, I want to add the images. I see I need the images, of course. So let me just bring it here to the assets, images. I'm using a bunch of PNGs for these. Look, I have them here like in my downloads already, ready for that. So I think I called it like skipping frog onboarding. These are all the images. These are a bunch of transparent PNGs. I'm just gonna drop them in here. Perfect. And here they are. They're all about like OB arrow down, blah blah blah, like that. So I need to, of course, kill it and restart it again. Sorry. Let me just kill the application one more time. Let me rebuild it. I can't see it again. Flutter run. Let's try it again. Again, make sure to tweet Flutter live coding. I'm almost about to wrap up. Just wanted to show you at least as far as I'm gonna take it, because of course you've seen me do this in the past, implementing animations. Make sure to watch the previous videos. I'm just gonna lay out the items and then we're gonna call it a day and then we should be good. So let me continue. We are sure already have the images in there. So I want to create like a little container in there, and then I'm just gonna show my images in there. Simple as that. I'm just gonna create like for example, okay, I need the 2 buttons in my design, as you can see there. I need the skip and the never show this again. So let me start with those. And there it is. I'm gonna start doing those. I can do them custom, but I know that some of you are like, Roma, you do too much custom stuff. I mean, I can't help it. It's because I hate using additional libraries, and I love creating like really cool stuff. But then what I do is I create it, then I create a little library for it. I create like my little library of widgets, and then I reuse them. So I'm gonna satisfy that. You know, for you, I'm gonna use an existing one from the library. I'm gonna be using an elevated button. So I'm gonna be using an elevated button, which I'm gonna leverage the on press. But you know that what the elevated button is nothing more than, look, the elevated button is really simple. It's like, you know, you can see it's like really straightforward. Well, it has a bunch of comments in here, but some of them are just like a container wrapped around like a gesture detector. It's really simple stuff. So I'm just gonna do it simple. I'm gonna do an elevated button. And the child, of course, I'm gonna add like a, I'm gonna add like a text, and I'm gonna say, what are the two buttons? Skip, for example, that's one of them, right? And then I have my elevated button. This is the unpressed event, of course. The elevated button requires, what else does it require? See, that's why I don't like it, because I didn't know what to add in here. So I said, unpress, and then I add that. You know, that's what I have. The elevated button, then I can do that, right? You do the unpress, and then you do it, right? Let me, what is it saying here? The value of these, I'm sorry, because of the constant. Sorry about that. Whatever. I'll just do constant, and then that's it. So now if I load it, you see, I hate that button right there. I hate that blue button. So I want to customize it. How do I customize that button to make it look like this one? See, I want to make it look like this, like rounded, not like blue, like everybody else's application. No, I want to customize it just like that. This is how you do it on an elevated button. So I'm going to still do customizations in here. You do style, and look, the elevated button has this style property, which is called button style. And then you just say button style, and then inside of that style, then you add your customizations. For example, the first thing that I want to do is I want to make it round. So there's a property called shape. I'm going to say rounded. You just say rounded rectangle border. This is the one that you use, rectangle border. You pass then a border radius. I'm going to say border radius dot circular, and you can pass, for example, like a 30 or something. Let me do it right here. So you can say 30. You pass like a, around the rectangle border to that value, and then you just pass a border radius. That's pretty much what you're going to be doing. What is it saying here? Oh, it says the value must be new. I'm just passing it right there. There it is. So if I do, what else in the button style requires? What else do I require? I require like a background. I can do I can say background colors that white, because I want it white. That's what I want, right? Why is it still complaining? Oh, okay, hold on. The reason why this is complaining It's because it said the arguments. Which arguments? Oh, the rounded rectangle element can be assigned to the. Oh, I see. You see, I totally skipped that. I had to do it like this. So you can do button style, but you actually have to do it saying the button style. So I have to say elevate. I can say multiple ways, but I can say elevated button, and there's this option called style from. Then you can add those things in there. Like sorry, not this one. I can add the shape. Again, I'll add the shape. And then the shape is that one that I was talking about. So I'll do rounded, what is it? Rounded rectangle border. This is the one. And then I say border radius, circular, and then let's do like 30 pixels, right? You see, nothing is rehearsed. That's the beauty of these sessions, because I'm just like going with it. But you see, the great thing is that it's not, which implementation, what you do or not do. Is how well you can recover from these things. Perfect. Thank you. That's exactly. Yeah, thank you. It was stadium. Oh, maybe the radius. Yeah, that's what you meant. So let me reload. There it is. See, it's rounded. Now I want to add, for example, like instead of, you see, it didn't pick up the background color. So, because I haven't implemented, of course, yet. So I need to say background color, colors that white, and foreground color, colors that, let me see, colors that black. Is that what will reset it? There it is. See, there it is. Awesome. You see, now it looks a little bit more like that one. All I need to do now is just increment the text style of it. So I can do this right straight from this guy, and I'm just going to say style, text style, font size. What font size? 20, 30? Let's try it. Yeah, I like that, but it looks like a little bit too tight. Randall says the whole Flutter 3 theme is complicated sometimes, but yes, it is. You see, like it's a little. Randall, I would have done this with take a little bit less code. That's all I can tell you. I can grab the text in a padding. I can do padding, and I can do, for example, like let's do like 10 pixels of padding. Reload. That looks better. But you see how it's like scrunched up? Like, well, it's not scrunched up. It's just that because the column is actually centered, I actually wanted to stretch along with the column. So instead of doing cross alignment center on my column, I'm going to say, what do you say? Great. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for joining. Awesome. Again, remember, this is called live coding, coding after hours because I stay a little bit late. Sorry about that, guys. Yes, we're about to finish. I'm just going to finish up a few things in here and just going to show you what it looks like at the end. So I'm going to say, what did I say here? Stretch. I want to say stretch. That way it does this. Perfect. But then around this button, I probably want to do like maybe some, I can do, for example, like some margin, but let's keep it like this for now, because I think maybe some of you, or no, actually, let me continue on this. So I could do like 60 here. Let me reload. Okay, I need some spacing in between these guys. I'm gonna do like a size box of like a height like 20. I could have done like a container and do, yeah, something like this. Let me reload it again. That way you could see it. Hey, Jose, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? Long time no see, Jose. Jose Ramos, an amazing member of the GDG Lawrence community in the house. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you so much for joining. We're about to finish, and remember to tweet Flutter Live Coding. At 10:20, we're going to stop it, and then you need to make sure that you tweet Flutter Live Coding so I can pick the next person who's going to win this Flutter t-shirt at the end of the session. So after the button, actually on top of the button, I want to do like a little container with the two images. So let me add like a row. I'm going to add a row with two children. Oh yeah, different time for some people. That's correct. So I'm gonna pull what are my images? So my images are the OB images. So I want to do the arrow. I want to do the leaf up, arrow up, and the hand. So I need 3 images. So I need 3 image that asset. I need 3 of these in a row. So I'll do, get out of the way, copy 3 times. I need 3 assets. So I need my, actually, let me just do one again. I'll do I can do assets, images, ob, what is it? Leaf up, that PNG. I'm gonna copy this 3 times, and then I'm gonna do the arrow up. Oh yeah, exactly. You're careful. Yeah, you gotta say yeah, you gotta be careful. You gotta time yourself, otherwise it's not gonna work. Okay, perfect. Let's see the 3 images loading. Of course, I need to definitely like change some of the let's say some of the dimensions I don't want to set on those images. I want to make sure that those images look good. So I'm gonna let's start with some arbitrary values. I'm gonna start with like width, I'll do width 50, height 50, for example, for this one. For the arrow, I'm gonna do width 80, height 100. I'm just going off like random stuff in here. And this one I'll probably do the same thing. Let me grab it. Let's see what it looks like. So I want something like that. That's okay. I want my row to actually occupy most of this column. So I'm gonna wrap it inside expanded. Let me try this. That way it looks like this. Thank you. That's exactly what I want. So I want it. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's not do an expanded. Oh, unless I do this on the column. So let me see. Where's my column? Here's my column. So I want to do main axis size that min. That way it takes the minimum amount of space. Okay, let me just reload it. But still, it's because of the expanded. So I'm not gonna use the expanded. I'm just gonna use something so that it remains in the center. So I don't want that. I don't want the expanded. Scratch that. I'm gonna use like padding, and then I'm gonna add padding. Const edge insets.all. 4 more minutes, guys. Make sure to tweet Flutter live coding. Otherwise, you're gonna miss out on this amazing t-shirt. So let's try this. There it is, something like that. Let me reload it, and so on and so forth. I'm gonna continue building on this. I need to do the. It's gonna load in a second because it's like, I don't know why it takes like a little bit to show the images in there, but I'm gonna do main axis alignment center. That way they center horizontally. I can increase on the size on these guys, whatever. I can just continue playing on this. But now let me do the other button. So I'm gonna copy paste this guy, right? Of course, I'm gonna const this guy right here, and I'm gonna copy paste this guy. Add some spacing. Have 4 more minutes. I'm gonna do like a height 20 pixels, no, 10 pixels, and then I'm gonna do the other button. So I'm just gonna do this one. I'm gonna save it. I don't want to do it the same way. I want to do font size of like 10. This one I want to call it. What did I call it? Never show this again. I'm trying to make sure to get to that. No, it's too small. I'll do it. Let's do 20. And again, don't do this at home. Don't rush it like I'm doing. This is crazy. So I'm gonna do the foreground white. I'm just rushing it because I want to get to the 1020 mark with this thing. I want to do opacity of like half of opacity, something like that. Let me do the background color. So I can do with opacity. With opacity of like half of it, maybe less. I can try like maybe less. It's looking good. But what I'm gonna do, remember, is I'm gonna hook it up to that button right now. I'm gonna hook up my never show this message again. There it is. You see, the images are gonna show eventually. Yeah, this is way much lower. So it's like 2 or something like that. Yeah, that's the one. And then the images show. Now for the time of the hour. Game service. Never show onboarding again. Now let's do it. Now I have the onboarding. A spacer. Yes, Jessica. You can use spacers. Spacers, remember the cool thing about spacer is like is nothing more than an expanded with a flex of 1. I could have, for example, like if you do spacer, for example, like right here, spacer. A spacer is nothing more than an expander with a spacer is nothing more than an expander with a flex of 1. That's pretty much, look, the default is 1. So I could do like expanded, but I like to use expanded to like wrap things up, give it like spacing, but spacer's pretty much also a good option. In my particular case, I want to keep them all in the center. So now let's do this. Let's do it. 10:19, 1 more minute. Make sure to tweet, guys. Make sure to tweet. And now let me show you. I'm going to hit start. I am a new user. Never show. Oh, what did I do? I think I best. Okay, it's because of the thing right now. Let me reload it one more time. Oops. Here I am with my wrong reloading. And okay, I did the main access center. Perfect. Okay, let's try it again. I hit this. Why does it keep now it keeps like stretching over for me? Oh, because of the spacer. I left it there. Sorry, I meant to show you and then I left it there. I left the spacer. I meant to just show you with the spacer. Now for the time of the day. Now I hit the start. I show the onboarding for a user, right? If I swipe this away, for example, if I swipe this away, like the screen, I can swipe it down and then just do this. But then when I hit start, it's gonna show again. If I hit never show this again, right? Of course, I forgot to put the main thing in here. Utils dot main nav current state and then pop. That's what I forgot to do. So let's do it one more time and I think we should be good. That's it, guys. So I've kept you here way too long. Let me just, yeah, it's gonna, it's not gonna show anymore. Now when I reload it, you're not gonna see the onboarding. I messed up the grand finale. Look, it doesn't show. You know what? Let's do it one more time. I know you guys can hold on for like 1 minute so that we can see this. So let me do it one more time. Just gonna run it. Just gonna give you 1 minute more so that you guys can tweet Flutter live coding before we do the raffle. We're just gonna show this, wrap it up. I'm gonna finish it up, but you know how I was going with this anyway. But that's how you implement share preferences. It's pretty simple. It's just storing key value pairs, like key values, both in iOS, Android, and multi-platforms. Actually, it works in a multi-platform fashion. So let's do it again. So once we display the application, and you see, of course, we need to. Okay, now I hit start. It shows me the application, and then when I say, let me just dismiss it one more time. Go back over, bring it back. Hit never show this again. Now if I dismiss it, come right back. It doesn't show anymore. And that's share preferences in Flutter. Very simple. And how you can use it to do something like an onboarding, let's say, screen for your applications. I'm going to continue implementing this, but I don't want to keep you here much longer. Just wanted to say thank you so much, everybody, for your suggestions. Thank you for your inputs. Thank you for just being here and accompanying me for an hour and a half. Thank you guys for sticking there. And now it's time for the raffle. We're going to be using our usual wheel of names where I'm going. Now, these are all people. Let's do it again. So I'm going to import everybody who tweeted with the hashtag Flutter Live Coding. I am going to import everybody who tweeted. And of course, I'm going to exclude myself because I already have one. So let's try it. I see a few folks in here and including myself. I'm going to remove that. So great. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Now let's see who's the lucky winner of a Flutter t-shirt just like this one. Just like this one. So now good luck, everybody. Have a great night. Let's spin the wheel and good luck to everybody. I'm just going to hit it right now. Good luck to everybody. Who's going to be the lucky winner? Randall, I believe, I'm telling you, it's not me, man. Jose. Thank you, man. You are the winner of the Flutter t-shirt. Jose Ramos. My man, Jose Ramos. Congratulations. You win a Flutter t-shirt. I'm going to ship it right over to you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you so much for being in here and learning a little bit with me and providing input. Again, like I said, these are sessions that I hold every Wednesday. About Flutter, again, and I'm building this application. I'm going to build it all the way until I publish it to the App Store and both Google Play Store, and then you're gonna see me right there. I just want you to again be there accompanying me in this journey where I build this application. You see my development process. You are here in my studio where I develop applications and whatnot. Just wanted to make sure to make sure to tweet, make sure to follow me on Twitter. You can scan this QR code right here, and let's stay in touch. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. See you next time. See you next Wednesday on another session on Flutter Live Coding After Hours, Flutter Edition. I am Roman Jacques, Flutter GDE. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you.